Alright, we've seen how to use these methods as to lower, to upper, replace in a variable. But what happens if we have an array? Well, we have to do something to each element in an array. And in order to do that, we have to have some sort of a loop to do it to the first element, and then the second element, the third element, and so on. Well, remember, in order to do loops, we used something called a script block, and we are going to revisit the script block now. We're going to look at the Foreach-object command along with a script block. I have items equals Coke, Pepsi, Tab, Sprite here. So now I'm going to take items like this, and I'm going to pipe that. Whoops, that's not a pipe. I'm going to pipe it to Foreach-object. So we're creating a loop for each object in this array, right? And so for each object, we're going to perform some script block. The current item, remember $_ is the current item, and then what you want to do to that, in this case, to upper. And then remember, we have to, whenever we use these methods, we have to use the open and close parentheses in order to make it happen. So I think we have this all set up. Let's take a look and see what happens. Sure enough, Coke, Pepsi, Tab, Sprite, we've done that to each of the elements in this array, and now they are all capitalized. Now let's try something interesting. Let's go items equals Coke. Well, actually, let's do this. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna say 1, and I'm gonna put that 1 in parentheses. In quotations, I'm sorry. And then 2 in quotes. The 3 I'm not going to put in quotes. I'm going to leave that as just a number. And then the 4 in quotes. Let's see what happens if I run this for each object now on that. Yeah, I'm going to get an error. Why do I get an error? Well, because the 3 is not a string. And I can't do this. There's no such thing as an uppercase number. And so we have here a method invocation failed because system int 32, that's referring to this 3 here, that's an integer, does not contain a method named toUpper. So this failed because that is a number, not a string. Remember earlier, in one of the earlier videos when I was replacing, I said, well, it was important to put a string around the number 3 right here, because if we didn't put quotes around it, if we didn't put quotes around it, it would have done this replacement. It would have put the number there in its place, but it would not have been the character 3. It would have been the integer 3. In this case, these are all characters. And those do have a toUpper. Even though we have no uppercase 1 or lowercase 1, it worked fine for that, and it worked fine for this, but it just didn't work fine for that 3.